Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Jean Till, and on today's show, we're visiting with Jim Collins, President Emeritus of Loras College.
He's probably getting used to that title after 21 years as the active president of the college. And so this will be a great conversation with a dear friend and many things to revisit. And hopefully he's just kind of got his feet up with a cool drink, and just leaving it all to his successor. But here we are on Flag Day, June 14th, moving into the real throes, official beginning of summer next week. But I think most of us have made that recalibration of our souls and our dispositions. These days are very good. Looking forward, next week we have the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops Special Assembly, once every 3 years. Rather than doing a business meeting, the spring business meeting, we gather and we'll be spiritually fed by Archbishop Emeritus Michael Miller of Vancouver, Canada, who will be speaking about the messages and the themes struck by our various popes. Wonder if he's adding one talk now with both the other 14.
Guessing he might.
But we'll be out west, and it's a time for a lot of fraternal dialogue, getting to know each other. And truly the solidarity among the nation's bishops is greater than is sometimes portrayed in the media. And, I always go into these and, you never know. You make a new acquaintance that might become more than that, somebody, a brother. And so,
like a guest on the radio show.
yeah, there you go. Well, now we got to be thinking practically here as well. Meeting yesterday and today with the cohort of those who are approaching pre-candidacy of our diaconate formation program. They've been in formation for 2 years now, and this is another threshold that they will be passing, that they want to go forward with. So we'll look to do that. And Father's Day as well tomorrow, so we'll talk to President Collins about that. I'm kind of looking forward. This is always the days. I'm not a huge golf aficionado, but the four major tournaments always have a certain cachet, and we want to keep my eye out for my niece, Olivia Joensen from Ankeny, who, in her event management major at Iowa State, snagged an internship with the USGA.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's kind of a coveted spot.
Yeah.
So, and knowing her charism, her work ethic, and all that she has, her lively personality, see if she makes the cut in her own right to be one who carries the leaderboard behind that last pairing on Sunday. So that's the coveted prize.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
It would. And so congratulations to her, and a little family pride as well going along. Jean, these summer months for you, what are we looking at for things?
Well, recuperating, seeing if I can walk again with a new knee.
Okay.
So that'll be exciting. And then I always get to have two of my grandchildren a couple of days a week during the summer break. So looking forward to Monopoly and going to the zoo and Ryman Gardens and, all of those things that the kids love to do, and looking forward to that. Going swimming.
And maybe even midday mass at St. Ambrose Cathedral, where they've tended to serve and to lecture as well. So.
Oh, and we're going to Rome in October, so yeah.
Well,
there's an agenda going on here.
So not with the pilgrimage to France. No, okay.
No.
Rome is
well, we haven't been to Rome yet.
So I am just giving you a little static here.
Yeah, I know.
That you'll have that opportunity where we're at on things. So,
well, I think we should take a break. And when we come back, we're going to be visiting with Jim Collins, President Emeritus of Loras College. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen, and on today's show we're visiting with Jim Collins, President Emeritus of Loras College.
And President Collins, is that your official title, President Emeritus, or have they heaped other honors and potentate of all things in Northeast Iowa?
No, that's the one, but thank you so much, Bishop.
Yeah. And
Jim is just fine, too.
Okay, well, we have a long-standing relationship working for you and with you, and so hopefully this won't be a bromance interview segment as well, but I think we have great mutual respect there, and that continues to be there. The whirlwind of any academic year concluding for you was intensified with a little kind of grace note ending, the commencement service that was held in early May at Loras College, and then there was a gala to fetch you. How was that? Was that humbling? Was that exhilarating? Was it a love fest?
Well, it was all of the above, but also somewhat relieved it's over. But first with commencement, it was a great privilege to serve as president for the last 21 years. So as the class of 25 said, I got to graduate with them. So it was a nice way to do it. And, of course, it was a great thrill to honor you, Bishop Joensen, both as you served so well as our commencement speaker, and then to have the honor of bestowing the honorary degree upon you was terrific.
We weren't supposed to talk about this, Jim. Didn't you see the preview notes?
You mentioned commencement, so that was my weave in, Bishop Joensen.
Okay. Well, it was very heart-touching for me, and just a place where 18 years of my life in priestly ministry, actually 19 years, but you gave me a sabbatical year, so I don't know if we count that or not. So, but thank you for that. And if we think of 21 years, but that's not the sum of your actual career at Loras. Tell us more about that.
No, I've served at Loras for 41 years, 21 of which were as president. But I came up through a very non-traditional route, mostly all on the external relations side, from admissions rep to alumni director to vice president for advancement, and then senior vice president. But it was really great training ground for me into the presidency, because I had gotten to know so many members of the campus community as well as the Dubuque and our alumni community as well. So I was blessed in that regard, because not many get to start with that kind of experience, especially from within.
And was it kind of a strategic path that you kind of had that as the goal to assume the presidency, or as things unfolded, you saw that this was maybe more plausible that you could adopt that role?
No, I think it was all by divine providence or Irish luck, depending on the way in which people view the world. But I made the mistake, not being a very superstitious person, that when I was senior vice president, overseeing enrollment management, advancement, and intercollegiate athletics, that was the job I wanted for life. And God must have heard me whisper that, because he clearly had other things in store. But we wound up having a series of very quick presidential transitions. So I ultimately became, unwittingly, the fourth president in a matter of 4 years to serve the college. So it was prophetic that I was able then to provide a long runway of service so that we can go back to perhaps a bit more stability and continuity.
Yeah, and early in my tenure, I think I experienced 3 of those presidencies, so I think we all appreciated your commitment to the college. When you had opportunities to go elsewhere, your profile, you're not a climber per se, your heart is with Loras, but you also then had a national involvement with many things, American Catholic Colleges and Universities. I believe you served as the president of that organization, and others as well. We could talk about the Higher Education Working Group here in a moment, but
Sure.
we sometimes joke that the usual suspects, that there's a kind of rotation of some of the same people who've served in that executive office among the cohort of Catholic colleges and universities.
Yes, that's very true. I think that through great mentors over the course of the years, both external to the college and within the college, I was really fortunate to be given several opportunities to grow and learn and to lead. All of those, I think, manifested themselves well, and then really feel blessed to have worked with amazing number of administrators, faculty, and staff, you included. In fact, I know I took you out of the classroom at a moment when Loras really needed a strong dean for spiritual life, and you were willing to step up and do that, and did it very, very well, and I'm forever grateful for the wise counsel and leadership you've provided all those years, Bishop Joensen.
Well, and again, this is just speculation, because there is a pontifical secret involved. But if one were to be consulted on what about Joensen's potential for another role in the church. You had your chance to throw me under the bus there, I would suspect. So you didn't do it. You didn't do it.
But I took it seriously, including the vow of secrecy, so it was all good.
We're not going to talk about anything more.
What? I don't know what.
Speaking of all things papal, you mentioned your Irish lineage, but a Chicago boy, and so you come to Lord. So are you particularly glowing here with the election of our recent pontiff?
I am just thrilled. I mean, watching the conclave over the course of those 48 hours was a thrilling moment, not just for me, but for our campus community. And then to have Pope Leo XIV come out so humbly and following the lineage of Pope Francis, really exciting. But to think that this was an American and a Chicago native, quite amazing. As I share with a lot of people, clearly he suffers greatly in life with sacrifices and pain because he's a fellow White Sox fan. So we're not having our best years nowadays. So I feel a kindred spirit in him.
Okay.
Who knows? That might change now.
Yeah, well,
yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, another Loras alum, Keller and Rousey, said for sure now the Bears are going to be in the Super Bowl. So I don't know.
I think that's very true. It's not lost on the White Sox fans. I don't think that they've won more than 2 games in a row this year. But they won 4 out of 5 right after Pope Leo was elected.
Pilgrims of Hope. So,
yeah.
And isn't there a special jersey produced, something?
Yes,
okay.
there is,
yeah.
with gold threading and with his papal seal on it, and of course number 14 on the jersey.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And so we'll conclude this segment with we're not there, but I believe you threw out the first pitch once, and is that an experience of pressure or not to throw out the first pitch at the White Sox?
Being a longtime White Sox fan, and when I got the call, it was during Loras' 175th anniversary, and so that was in 2014. I was asked to throw out the first pitch, and we had a big alumni gathering of about 1,000 folks that came out to the park to tailgate and watch the game. And, it sounds like a great idea, and then the morning of, I thought I was going to get sick because I'm going to be standing on that mound and having to throw out a pitch. But they allowed me to wear a White Sox jersey, and my 3 sons accompanied me in their own White Sox jerseys. We were number 1, 2, 3, and 4 out on the mound. Chris Sale, who is a star pitcher for the White Sox now with the Boston Red Sox, was the catcher for my first pitch. So despite all the nerves, I was able to throw a high, fluttering strike. If there was a player...
It was a knuckleball. It was a knuckleball.
Yeah, right. I think they would have hit it outside of center field. So a great, thrilling moment for Loras as well as for the family.
You mentioned your sons, and not only that, but your daughters. Congratulations on Father's Day tomorrow, anticipating.
Thank you.
And now a grandfather, you and Lisa. How many grandchildren?
Yes, we're very blessed to not only have our 6 children, but 4 of the 6 of them are married at this point, and they produce 6 beautiful grandchildren. So with God's help, there will be plenty more. But right now, 6 under 5 is... keeps for a busy series of households.
Yeah, so now that you have all this time on your hand, hey, Dad, will you babysit the grandkids?
Early on when we were having kids, I told Lisa that I think I could be a stay-at-home father, and one day she was sick, and so I stayed home with the kids, and I told her around the noon hour that I don't think I could handle this. So while I'll spend a lot more time with the grandkids, I'm not sure I'm built as well as my wife, Lisa.
Maybe when they get to the age where they can run at a decent pace, you'll take them out for a few road runs as well. So
exactly right.
It was a striking reminder to me as commencement there. And Donna Heald, your retiring academic dean and provost, who also received an honorary degree, I remarked to her, your ability to know the names of the students, a graduating class in the 300s, and, you weren't just listening to the name being read because there's no way to pull that off, as I know when I'm up shaking hands, to hear that. So has this been a gift you've always had, the ability to know names? I mean, it's impressive.
Well, thank you very much, Bishop Joensen. There's something, I remember very well being a student at Loras and sometimes feeling as if there wasn't any kind of relationship with the administration, but that's probably as much my fault as anybody else's. But it's always been of interest to me that I get to know students, and I would argue that's perhaps the most fulfilling part of the work that we do. that you journey with them. You watch them grow from who they were as an 18-year-old and as they departed as a 22-year-old. But watching those special moments of them achieving success, being engaged, leading retreats, presenting at a conference, those are points of pride, and that's always stuck with me. So somehow I've been blessed with that gift, and if there's one compliment I consistently get over the years, whether it's from alumni or from colleagues, it is that somehow I'm able to remember names. Now, where it becomes a little more difficult is when you meet up with a student or a faculty or staff member in a distant town in an unexpected place, and you don't have that immediate point of reference. But otherwise, I'm pretty fortunate.
Are we all going to be carrying around some facial recognition device on our phone or something else? I think that would serve me well, because I do not have that same charisma.
A little camera on your lapel and an earbud that says...
there you go.
That's Gene, too.
Well, you're a good-looking guy. I'm afraid about facial recognition of myself on another phone. They might not pick up.
Oh, Jim. So, the recruitment of students, the pandemic in the latter, phase of here the last 6 years, how, is the challenges facing Loras? Is that something in solidarity with many private institutions these days?
Yeah, these are very challenging times, and particularly acute since the pandemic, because it's not just a matter of fewer students went off to college, fewer students wound up not finishing college. The experience wasn't very meaningful and fulfilling, whether it was because people were wearing masks or they were attending class on Zoom. But over the last year or two, I've at least witnessed the campus community and the activities coming back in a pre-pandemic mode. So that's good news. But now we face an awful lot of uncertainty, particularly at the federal government level. We have declining demographics, and so the challenges have been real for all aspects of higher education, but acutely so for private and Catholic institutions. We've been really fortunate, despite having to deal with a lot of those pains. We're really fortunate that this fiscal year we're going to finish with our best philanthropic success in the history of the college, and we're running, God willing, about 70 deposits ahead of where we were last year at this time. Mm-hmm. So it looks like a good first-year class and a good close to the fiscal year. But that doesn't mean it's going to get any easier. We're going to have to continue to be very resilient and strategic in our work. And my successor, Mike Doyle, you know well.
Well, you're kind of setting the bar higher for him there with your philanthropic success, but that's good. Doyle needs a challenge.
No, he's been a big part of us achieving this philanthropic success.
It's kind of a mantra in higher ed that the 2026 represents the demographic cliff, right? We think about the economic downturn of 2008. Well, that's 18 years later, and people were not having babies. So here we are. So that's an added challenge for you all, is it not?
Yeah, it's a real challenge, and I think that our Vice President for Enrollment Management, Maria Gentile, is just finishing her second year in the role, and she brings strong experience, but she's very fixated on focusing on Catholic high schools, Catholic youth programs, and so on to build a stronger base, because that's a very good direct pipeline. And then, of course, one of the fastest-growing segments of the Catholic Church and in K through 12 education is the Hispanic population. So she's done a good job of partnering with predominantly Hispanic institutions, the Cristo Rey High School Network, looking toward greater recruitment efforts in Arizona and Florida, and we've seen some strong success through those very targeted works that she's pursuing.
I'm reminded by some of our Hispanic parish ministers, youth ministers and others, that even for some of the Hispanic young people to go off on an overnight retreat for confirmation, let alone to go to Catholic youth camp here in our diocese, is very traumatic for them. They've never been away, and so it's as much a matter for the parents trying to reassure them that this is a healthy, safe, holistic environment where their children can flourish. So that's part of the message that has to get out there, I assume.
That's exactly right. Well, as you well know, and you're articulating, the Hispanic experience is very familial and close bond with family. Oftentimes, whether it's in a single-parent home or a dual-parent home, children are asked to kind of babysit their brothers and sisters as mom and dad have demanding jobs or second and third shift jobs and so on. So the tug to leave home is always tough, but we try and talk about it from the Loris' standpoint that this is a family atmosphere, a very strong community, and we find that whether one is a domestic student, international student, white student, black, brown student, that this really becomes a home away from home, and I think a lot of parents take comfort in that.
Yeah, and I know alums have sponsored special scholarships from Arizona and other things, but here we are. We've come to the time of the break, Gene.
Stay with us as we continue our conversation with Jim Collins, President Emeritus of Loris College. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
Again, so good to be with you, Jim Collins. Appreciate the time that you're making for us. Is it a little disorienting to set down that yoke of being the chief officer of the college?
You ask a good question, Bishop Joensen, and I guess only time will tell, because as I've been busy these first couple of weeks of June, I was in New York on a couple donor visits, so while I wasn't at the helm of the college, I was at least working on behalf of the college. But it's nice to have been at home for a few days, sleep in my own bed, spend a little bit more time with family. But I will tell you the early sentiments are feelings of relief. You don't have that 24/7 mantra that's been carried for the last 21 years, and in a different kind of way. Don't have that familiarity of immediately going to the college on any given morning over the last 41 years. So I think that it'll probably hit me a little bit more as the academic year begins, because I won't be there giving the opening talk and meeting new students and their families. But at the same time, I think this new chapter in life is a good thing. I think if I would have served for fewer years and less continuous years, maybe I'd feel a little differently. But it seems like it was the right time.
Well, and again, Mike Doyle assumed some, big footprints to follow in, and he'll be up to it, bringing his own feisty and characteristic personality. I've said to you on numerous occasions, and never felt any kind of rivalry with you, but just your temperament, not only as a biological father, but as a spiritual father, a man of great faith, and that, you brought at times, whether in crises or other moments, a kind of positive paternalistic way of engaging in a ministerial capacity, almost living out your own baptism and your calling and your vocation. Is that something that you self-identify with, or is that me putting that on you?
No, you've been very kind in praising me in that regard, and I take it humbly and with deep respect and gratitude. What I've learned over the years is that from a leadership standpoint, I don't know how, whether it's as a practicing Catholic or leading at a Catholic college or just leading in general, but born and raised baptized Catholic, only going to Catholic schools with the exception of my graduate degree from University of Iowa. Faith has always been the center of my life, whether it's quietly or very overtly. And I just find that the power of prayer has instilled with me this, I hope, great gift of it's not about me, it's about the community. And so when there is crisis, when there is challenge, when there are difficult decisions, I just think that providing a sense of peace for all with whom you're serving is perhaps the greatest gift you can give to, in this case, a campus community. And doesn't mean that it's easy, and it doesn't mean that it removes the hardship, but it does really feel something deep within that I've been able to carry with me, and hopefully that kind of prayerful presence will continue to exist as a father and grandfather and community member and alumnus of Loris.
Yeah, maybe you can make an extended retreat, who knows where, in France or who knows where.
Des Moines?
That'd be wonderful if that's an invitation, Bishop Jones.
Yes,
I'm all for it. We've done it once before.
Yes, and so remember your passport, that's all I'll say. But yeah,
Very true.
Inside joke there, sorry, we will try not to do too much of that. But again, serving with you on the Higher Education Working Group for the U.S. Bishops was a privilege, I think, our rapport, and so as I've been asked to sustain that, but not as the chair of that, your moving on will be felt in a way, but you've established a great tradition and legacy, Jim Collins. For fun, what's going to be your primary pursuit as we wind down here?
Well, the students love to make fun of me, but I am psychotically addicted to pickleball nowadays, so I play probably 5 times a week, and at least one of those times is with a varied group of students. So that's been a fun thing, so I expect to do that a little bit more often. Certainly spending time with family. I really want to give back. One of the things I've told the principal of St. Columkille's here in town, I'd love to be a school crossing guard, at least for starters, and see what that brings. But I'm also been asked to be a consultant and an advisor for the Association of Catholic Colleges and Universities, so I'm actually facilitating a board retreat out in Connecticut
Wonderful.
This September, so it's kind of nice that I can say yes or no, but it's also kind of nice that it's relatively low energy sort of thing that I'll have to do.
Jim, and there's more you're about than we can even fit in here on our segment, but blessings upon you. May God anoint this next chapter of your life with Lisa and family and the Loris family. So God
well, thank you. And don't
years.
forget, we're lifelong friends, so you can't just say goodbye now. We'll stay in touch and all of that.
Oh, fair enough.
This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thank you to our guests and to all of our listeners in Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, or wherever you may be listening to the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.